Woo, here's a hot take on this week's episode.
I think it really I think all stems from fear, and it's like fear is like a virus, right? And if you let it
Yeah.
grow, you need to nip it in the bud as soon as you identify. And I think that's one of the key things, to be honest, is being able to identify very early, as soon as you um, have a signal of doubt or something negative that comes into your head, and then literally just like Marty Supreme in ping pong, just straight, you know what I mean? Get it out of there, just get it, just out of your sphere, out of your consciousness, don't let it in.
Don't look back, let's go. Set the pace, watch me steal the show. Higher ground, yeah, I'm rising fast. This is my moment, it's built to last. Keep the focus, keep the drive. No slow motion, I'm alive. Power surging, can't deny. I'm unstoppable, touch the sky.
Welcome to the Balanced, Beautiful, and Abundant Show. We are taking you from burned out to balanced, beautiful, and abundant. And today we have a very special guest in the studio. Welcome to the show, Adam Morse.
Thanks, Rebecca.
I am so happy to finally have you on the show. I met Adam at a charity event in 2023, and he was in LA working on a show as an actor. And I wanted to have him on the podcast because he has such an inspirational story. And when I tell you his background, you are definitely going to want to clear your schedule and listen to this show because it's going to be very inspiring. So Adam is a reminder that vision has nothing to do with eyesight. He is the first award-winning blind filmmaker to be celebrated in Hollywood. And he is also an actor, speaker, and screenwriter. Adam is redefining what's possible for the disability community. Adam's work challenges outdated narratives around limitation, creativity, and success, proving that true vision comes from clarity, courage, and conviction. Today, we're talking about purpose, perception, creativity, and what it truly means to see life clearly. Let's get into the show. So, Adam, tell us how you realized you were blind. What was the story of how that happened, and what was it like leading up to that moment and after that turning point in your life?
Yeah, that was a really strange time because I had perfect eyesight until 2009, and I was 19 years old when I first started noticing an issue with my eyesight, and I figured I just needed glasses. So I went to the opticians, and they tried correcting this very small. It was like a dot, like a very tiny dot in the like dead center of my kind of field of view. Yeah, no lens corrected it. So they suggested going to see a doctor, which I did. I saw many doctors over weeks and weeks, and yeah, after various tests and hospital trips, I was left not knowing what was wrong because no one could diagnose me or figure out what this issue was. Because and I should mention that all the while that little dot that I was seeing, it started multiplying, and there was more of them, and they started to flash, and it went from like one tiny smudge of like a dot to then weeks later having thousands of these little dots flashing everywhere like little fireworks. And then and then some months later, after a few months, millions of them, and to the point where the majority of my eyesight had deteriorated. And eventually I got the diagnosis after about 6 months, at which point, I had lost the majority of my eyesight irreversibly, I was told. And I got diagnosed with Leber's, LHON, Leber's hereditary optic neuropathy, an ultra-rare mitochondrial disease with no cure or treatment. And that took me by surprise. And as you can imagine, the period of processing that was difficult, and it took a little while to adjust.
Yeah. And you were telling me the other day that your brother, who's not a twin, he got diagnosed with blindness at about the same time. How did that part of the story pan out? What happened with him?
Well, that was the bizarre part
Yeah.
of it all, because the professors and the doctors that, well, even before they diagnosed me, my brother was complaining about sight loss at the same time. And I didn't even believe him at first, to be honest, because I just thought, you know, this is too much of a coincidence. And no, it turned out, yeah, he also was dealing with the exact same symptoms, the same thing. But yeah, we're 3 years apart in age. He's 3 years younger than me, but we went blind at the same time to the same rare, incurable eye condition. Which,
And
yeah.
go ahead. Was it?
No, I was gonna say, which ironically, I mean, like, well, it brought us closer together. I mean, it was something that really bonded us, because we both got the diagnosis around the same time, you know, with the deterioration happening at the same time. And, you know, he was 16, I was 19, we're both kids, you know, our whole lives ahead of us, you know, took for granted everything that we could do then, that we, you know, love doing. Or, you know, I mean, I was, whether it was just, you know, playing soccer or driving or reading, writing, recognizing people,
Wow.
all the stuff that most people, I suppose, would take for granted. And yeah, he was learning how to play guitar at the time. I was writing my first movie script at the time when I was 19, and he had sort of crammed as much music theory into his head, reading tablature and everything, with his remaining eyesight, before it faded to the point where he couldn't read anymore or see any. So yeah, fortunately he managed to learn how to play the guitar, so that when, you know, he had lost, or when it had stabilized for him, and for me, being left with a little bit of partial peripheral eyesight that we have left, but still then, you know, being registered blind, we both had to then sort of, yeah, find ways to cope emotionally, but even practically, just analyzing or addressing what our ambitions are in life, and what we wanted to do, and what was still possible, and what was still achievable. That was, yeah, that took some soul searching. And you know what, I'm really proud of Jake, because he's come such a long way since 2009, since he got his diagnosis. And you know, he's an amazing musician, and has played you know, guitar on the soundtracks for most of the films that I've made till now. Yeah.
It's amazing that you guys both started in the performing arts, and you're still in the performing arts after your diagnosis. Tell us the story of when you received that award from Hollywood, and they didn't know you were blind, and you knew you were blind, and what that incident was like for you.
Oh yeah, that was well, I'm laughing and I'm smiling because it's funny. And you know the story about, you know, for anyone like watching, listening, it was not funny at the time.
Yeah.
But, you know, in hindsight, you have a new perspective. And anyway, what happened was, I was that I mentioned a second ago, right? I was writing my first movie script as I was going blind. And and the adjustment period that I alluded to, that was a few years. And well, I think 3 to be specific, before I picked myself up and started to reprogram myself mentally in terms of, you know, just changing my attitude and my outlook on what was possible still for me, in the arts and in life, but especially as an artist, and recognizing that being differently abled doesn't mean that you're disabled as an artist, and you might have a different process, but you can still deliver. And I, you know, brainwashed myself with this, you know, almost like psychotic optimism about what was, possible and achievable. So when I picked up that script again, I started looking at it. I said, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to direct this script. I'm going to make this film. And yeah, fortunately, I had you know, a good support network, group of friends that wanted to get into film and make films as well. So I self-funded this short film after my first trip to Vegas, which was a lucky time on the slots and blackjack tables, which is a whole nother story actually.
You funded your film on the slot machines from Vegas because you won?
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
it.
I wasn't like, you know, some big high roller crazy. It was, you know, came away from Vegas with a few $1,000 up, which was enough for me to be able to hire kit and rent equipment and have a budget for catering to feed people. But no one was paid on that first short film. It was all the money, like I say, kind of went into the production to get this thing made on of a professional standard and level, and had a really great team and crew, and like I say, a lot of friends that came together as well. But yeah, when that film was finished and I was ready to send it out into the world to festivals, I was submitting it without disclosing my condition. I didn't want to talk about being legally blind and open that conversation up at the time, because I was still very young. I was in my early 20s, having made my first short film, still recently living with blindness and kind of coming to grips with what that meant for me in terms of reception and how I would be received by others. And so yeah, I just made the choice to not disclose that information to the festivals or to anybody really, even when I was out and going to parties, events, networking. And I mean, like you mentioned when we met, I was on a show as an actor, and that's my background. Before I went blind, I was a stage actor doing theater, and it was an act for a long time, playing a blind person, playing a sighted person, a fully sighted person in my real life, and
Yes.
keeping my blindness secret from the industry, mostly because I was scared of being discriminated against, and I was discriminated against when I did share it in certain moments where I felt vulnerable and I wanted to be open. A lot of the time I would have to come face to face with prejudice and people putting me in a box or rejecting me or not wanting to back me or give me a chance because they thought my condition would be a hindrance. And for what, and so as a result of all of those experiences, when I made my first short film, I said, no, I'm not going to disclose this, talk about it. So anyway, what you're talking about, the award that I got for The Window, my first short film in Hollywood or in LA, it was at the Hilton in Pasadena, and it was one of the first awards of the ceremony, and it was a very fancy, it was a big ballroom, whatever, and black tie event, and I'm sat at the back at a table right at the back. I guess they had, the people with the feature films at the front and the, whatever. And so, and yeah, the shorts were given out at the start of the night. And I think it was actually the first award of the night. They called out my name, and I was like, oh, wow. And everyone at my table was like, go on, get up. And I'm like, okay, whoa. And I start, I'm in my suit or my tuxedo, whatever. And I'm walking to the stage, which I know is, down there in the midst of all of these flashing lights that I see all the time, which is basically the dead cells of my optic nerve. And so, yeah, through this like neon haze of like lights and dots and flashing fireworks, I'm like making out the shapes of other tables around me, and I'm trying to weave through them and, squeezing through, trying to get to the front of the stage to collect the trophy or pick up this award on the stage.
Right.
And I start hearing everyone laughing in the room, and I'm saying and I'm questioning in my head, going, have I got something on my face? Like, what's funny? Why is everyone laughing at me? And then and I keep going, and then trying to get to the stage, and then someone comes up to me and grabs me by the shoulders and turns me around and starts pushing me in the opposite direction. And I realize, like, I'm walking away from the stage. I'm going in the wrong way. I can't see where I'm going. And I think I was like walking out the room, and people were like, oh, very like laughing, thinking, oh, he doesn't need the award. Like it was a bit. Maybe thought people, people probably presumed I was just having a joke or doing a bit, like, oh, I don't. Anyway, when I eventually get to the stage, and after this, whoever that gentleman was who kindly guided me in the right direction, and think nobody. The last thing in anyone's mind is like, oh, he's blind, he can't see. They just think, I don't know, I'm drunk or I'm just doing a bit. I get on the stage. they give me this really beautiful award, which is like a film canister. And I'm stood there at the podium. And there's hundreds of people at this festival, at this film festival, this room. And I say to myself, I'm going to make up for, you know, or I'm going to just play it so cool. I'm going to do like a Joe Pesci and make it the shortest acceptance speech ever, you know. And it was a little bit longer than Joe Pesci's Thanks a Lot and Offstage, but it was still, you know, really tight. And I was just like, you know, thank you, everybody. I really appreciate this. Hope everyone has a great night, blah, 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 whatever. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, hold up the award. And then as I go to get off the stage, I step to where I see where I think the step is, but then I fall off the stage.
Oh, God.
and yeah, you hear that noise. You hear everybody like gasp, like in the room at once. And then I pick myself up and I dust myself down. And I'm like, pick up my award. And after I've fallen off the stage, like full on Jennifer Lawrence, but worse, actually, it was like fully off the stage. And then, yeah, I carry my award right to the back of the room, to my table at the back where I was sitting. And the MC or the compere or whatever, he comes on back up to the podium and he goes, well, ladies and gentlemen, that's how not to do it. Oh. And I just remember going so red. I was so embarrassed. And but you know what? Like, there have been so many moments like that. And I've got so many other stories of situations where, you know, hiding my condition has led to these, you know, really, really awkward, you know, scenarios. But looking back, would I change any of it? No, it's character building, you know. it's funny in hindsight too. Like,
yeah, we're gonna cut to a quick commercial break. That is an awesome story, and you are just, to say that's character building is so amazing. It just shows you the perspective that you have. So when we come back, we're gonna talk about how to not allow someone else's doubt to become your truth. So we're going to cut to a quick commercial break. Thanks everyone for listening to the Balanced, Beautiful, and Abundant show, and we'll be right back. Do you remember slumber parties as a kid? Wearing pajamas, laughing until midnight, eating delicious food, and feeling completely free before the bills, the responsibilities, and the pressure of adult life. What if you could experience that magic again as an adult? On February 27th and 28th, I'm hosting the second Soulful Slumber Party in Cincinnati, Ohio. The first one sold out, and this experience is truly unforgettable. You'll receive luxury silk pajamas, a night at a beautiful hotel, a sacred cacao ceremony, a gentle yoga session, a professional photo shoot, my signature 7 Pillars of Abundance workshop, and an elegant dinner party with an incredible group of like-minded women. This is your chance to reconnect with your joy, your vision, and yourself. If you feel called, apply through the link in the show notes. I'll see you at the slumber party. Hey there, it's Rebecca, your magnetic abundance mentor. Let me ask you something. Are you feeling stuck, burned out, or like life just isn't as juicy as you know it can be? If you're nodding right along, it's time for a breakthrough. My coaching program is designed to help you align your life in all 7 pillars of abundance: spiritual, physical, emotional, romantic, mental, social, and financial, so you can finally live that big, bold, sexy, and adventurous life you deserve. And here's the best part. I'm inviting you to schedule a breakthrough call with me. No pressure, no sales gimmicks, just a genuine chance to experience my coaching firsthand and get crystal clear on what is next for you. Because your best life is not a someday thing, it's a right now thing. So click the link in the show notes to book your breakthrough call, and let's start making magic together. Your next level is calling you. This podcast review is from Bring It On, and she says that the Balanced, Beautiful, and Abundant show is amazing and inspiring. She goes on to say, I believe this show is a place where women can come and really learn and grow. Rebecca creates a strong and safe space for women to share and be vulnerable. I highly recommend this podcast. Thank you so much, and it is absolutely a safe place for all women to come and learn. Thanks for being a great listener.
Don't look back, let's go. Set the pace, watch me steal the show. Higher ground, yeah, I'm rising fast.
Welcome back, everyone. We are here in the studio with Adam Morse. He's actually tuning in from England, and I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio. He is an award-winning actor, film director, screenwriter, and he is legally blind. And I would like to know, Adam, because you did just share a story where you experience, laughter and judgment, but now you have a sense of humor about it and a whole different perspective. So how do you not allow someone else's doubt or judgment to become your personal truth?
It's a good question, and I think it's like anything really. It's just practice, because it comes easier to some than others, maybe. But for all of us, just by repetition of being able to repel or block out any kind of negativity, in one ear and out the other, as they say, or just find ways of not letting it affect you, and filtering it out and focusing on the positives. These sound like kind of obvious or cliche mantras, but it does take work to practice it on a daily basis and do it to the point where it becomes first nature, and not second nature. And you do need to kind of brainwash yourself into being in that state all the time. It can't be a part-time practice, because I do feel like naturally doubts creep into all of us. That is just being a human being, right? Being a human, you sometimes have doubts, you have ego, you have sensitivities around whatever complexes you may or may not have. But yeah, for myself, I try to it's been interesting, because I'm still evolving and learning now all the time. I'm trying to improve ways to practice being positive, and having a barrier or a shield against a spiritual shield, and a mental barrier to block out negativity and external doubt or doubters, because we're always going to encounter those in life, and it's just really important not to let other people's doubt infect your mind, because I think it really, I think, all stems from fear. And it's like, fear is like a virus, right? And if you let it grow, you need to nip it in the bud as soon as you identify. And I think that's one of the key things, to be honest, is being able to identify very early, as soon as you have a signal of doubt or something negative that comes into your head, and then literally, just like Marty Supreme in ping pong, just straight, you know what I mean? Get it out of there, just get it just out of your sphere, out of your consciousness, don't let it in. And that's what I do, and that's what I've been doing for the longest time, as long as I can remember, really. Just even before losing my eyesight, I think I've always maybe been this way inclined. Maybe that's kind of always been who I am in my core. But as a result of living with my condition, the experiences that I've had to go through, it has forced me to be even more so, in that sense of finding strength, resilience, and then having to create a sense of determination inside yourself to say, well, and also just recognizing other people's doubts. That's what do they say? It's like reflection is projection, or maybe they tell it the other way around. But when someone else tries to put something on you, it's usually their own stuff that they're dealing with, that they're trying to put, and just being aware of that, and then not letting it get to you and going, is this really my problem? Or is this a problem from somewhere else? Because it is, I feel like 99.9% of the time external, this stuff. Even though we process it internally, doubts and whatever else, it's not actually coming from inside us, it's coming from outside.
I really like what they say in the 4 agreements. Don Miguel Ruiz, never take anything personally as one of the 4 agreements. And when people are doubting or rejecting or judging us, it's more of a reflection on their own internal narrative and how they see the world than how we see the world. You said you relied on some mantras or affirmations to keep yourself positive when you do feel self-doubt. What are some of the affirmations that have worked for you through the years, or mantras?
Oh, I mean, there's like probably a whole book I could write on them, but you know, so many, you know, love and light protect me. And that's a big thing for me, is just, you know, finding a way to lead with love and generosity, even when people try and throw shade or are dealing with their own hatred. Usually it's because they hate themselves.
Yeah.
And I think the best way to kind of deal with those individuals is to send them love, and you kind of watch them malfunction, you know, because they expect like a tit for tat, or for you to give it back. But when you don't, and you lead with light and love, and every day, if you tell yourself that you're protected by love and light, and you lead with light and love, that's my biggest mantra, to be honest, because I feel like the causality of everything that follows from that is this really beautiful ripple effect, especially if you know, root yourself in empathy, and you can be kind and generous when building connections with people, with new people, even with, you know, situations outside of business personally. But I think especially in business too, when you come to the table with some kind of an offer before an ask, and just think, how can you know, help somebody else, whether it's just making a connection. I mean, I love connecting people. Anyone that knows me has probably been introduced to somebody else by me. And I just love, you know, seeing, like I say, again, the ripple effect of that, you know, because so many good things in my life, and even looking at like the best experiences that me and my other half, Julia, and I have shared. We sit down and we do the detective work, and we kind of work the case backwards and go, how did we get here? How do we get here? How this amazing place at this moment, or with these people? And then when you do work it, and you go, oh, because it was so and so. But how did we? But hang on. But how do we know so and so? Oh, hang on. That was through them, and then he or she, like, and then it goes back to somebody that has no idea the chain reaction that they've caused just by connecting someone to someone else. So I just think connecting people with each other is the most amazing thing, you know, in life. And yeah, so yeah, you know, rooting yourself in gratitude is always a good way to start when practicing any kind of affirmations or mantras, because then it automatically elevates your frequency higher, and you know, you feel good, right? Because then when you want to think about what you want to do next, it's kind of, you're already in the space of how you want to feel, or where you're going to be when you get to that place. You know,
it's beautiful. And that's probably why you are so successful and well-adjusted in your differently abled state, is because you're like, well, I don't have sight, but I have all these other things in my life to be grateful for. And then you just build on that. So that is really beautiful. So how do you define, you're welcome. How do you define having vision versus having sight?
Yeah, they are two different things, for sure. And I think the way I define it is the way that a lot of people do, maybe not everybody. And this is why I enjoy actually talking about this. So thanks for asking that question, because the literal definition, I believe, is what I preach, which is you know, sight is something physical, right? And it's what we use to map our physical surroundings. Whereas vision is something spiritual. It's something internal.
Yeah.
It comes from our mind's eye, right? And when we're able to tap into vision, you know, I mean, to get scientific, you know, the pineal gland, when we open when we download from our imagination and we open ourselves up to seeing something that doesn't yet exist, that's how we bring it into reality. And it can be something long-term, or it can be a split-second decision, you know, on a football field, you know, a quick instinctive play that an athlete or someone does, or for an artist with a paintbrush, you know, and just, you know, they're in a flow state, and next thing you know, they step back from the canvas. Whoa, that came out of me. How did that, you know, come to be? It's like, you know, this streaming process vision sometimes, where you're seeing something without seeing it, or it's just kind of coming from you. And then obviously, yeah, there are more sort of premeditated third eye vision experiences where you can really, you know, have a vivid picture of something or a situation or you know, an experience, and then, you know, you catch up with that timeline, and then all of a sudden it becomes a part of your reality. And yeah, that's the amazing thing about vision. And so yeah, for me as a filmmaker or as an artist, you know, I'm using my vision all the time, and ironically, since I lost my eyesight, it's elevated my vision.
Beautiful, beautiful. That leads me to the next question. You say that creativity lies in the imagination, not in the eyes. What is your process for accessing your imagination?
So for me, my biggest, I suppose, resource for igniting my imagination is music.
Ooh.
Always has been as well. And I think, yeah, music was my, you know, my big love even before film. And I feel like, you know, they can really inform each other as well, both art forms, and they obviously come together in filmmaking anyway, but with and likewise even with music and applying visuals to music. So yeah, for me, I like to listen to a piece of music, and then I see pictures. It'll really, you know, help my imagination to kind of run wild. And so that's my biggest thing, I think, is music. And the other thing is meditation or dreams, both actually. And you know, it can be daydreaming in a meditative state where I'm, you know, just relaxed, trying to get into those you know, theta, you know, brain waves or alpha, and then obviously, yeah, there are actual kind of nocturnal or lucid dream states where, and that was obviously the inspiration in making my first movie, my first feature film that I wrote and directed, Lucid, with Billy Zane. That was exploring that topic, and my fascination with the subconscious mind and the power of dreams and their influence over us. And yeah, I even find, I mean, I've always found, but now even how inspiring dreams are as well, to unpack those and what yeah, what kind of big ideas they can lead to, but even small, quote unquote, small ideas, or you know, anything from just yeah, interesting camera movements I might see, how I want to direct a camera, or even just yeah, kind of I don't know, relationship dynamics, random things that you hear and see in your dreams. I don't know if it's the same for you.
Do you have we're going to cut to a commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about your method for remembering your dreams, because I feel like you remember your dreams a lot better than the average person. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the Balanced, Beautiful, and Abundant show. We are going to go to a commercial and be right back. Okay, can I be real for a second? You're out there crushing it in some areas of your life, but in others, it's like a hot mess express. Sound familiar? Here's the thing. You're not just meant to survive, you're meant to thrive. And that's exactly what I help my clients do in my coaching program. Together, we'll tackle all 7 pillars of abundance, because who wants killer abs but a dumpster fire of a bank account? Or a thriving career but 0 in the romance department? Yeah, no thanks. I'm inviting you to schedule a breakthrough call with me. No pressure, no awkward sales pitch, just you, me, and a chance to figure out why you're stuck and how to get unstuck. So stop doom scrolling and start doing something about it. Click the link in the show notes and let's start giving you your best, most bougie life. You in? I want to share something personal that has truly changed how I feel in my body. Like so many women, I was eating healthy, working out, and doing all the right things, but still my metabolism felt slower. I was holding on to belly fat, craving sweets, and my energy wasn't consistent. That's when I started using the Ever Balance and GBX Slim to Fit Duo. What I noticed from these two supplements was incredible. My belly fat started to release, my cravings for sugar went way down, and I had a steady, consistent energy flow throughout the day. I didn't feel like I was fighting my body anymore. It finally felt like my body was supporting me. This duo works at the hormonal and metabolic level, which is especially important for women in midlife. I feel more confident, energized, and more like myself again. If you're ready to support your metabolism and step into your most vibrant, magnetic self, go to the link in the show notes to grab your discount.
Don't look back, let's go. Set the pace, watch me steal the show. Higher ground, yeah, I'm rising fast.
Welcome back, everyone. And we're here with differently abled director Adam Morse. He's legally blind. He is going to tell us how he remembers his dreams so lucidly. What is your methodology?
So, like in my movie, Lucid, I did all of that and more. And that's the thing, actually, in writing that screenplay. I really had a dense draft of it early on, which went into the real finer details of how you can induce lucid dreams and practice lucid dreaming. But yeah, that high page count made for a longer and bigger budget film. We're making something independent. So, and also, to be honest, creatively, it made sense to kind of just focus more on the characters rather than the practice of lucid dreaming and getting too technical about it. Because it wasn't I wasn't making a documentary about how to lucid dream. I was making a narrative film and a story about a young man and his anxiety issues and how he was overcoming that with dream therapy. But yeah, in the film, obviously, he looks at his hands a lot as like a way of kind of, a cue of catching himself when he is in a dream state to become lucid. But in terms of, remembering them, Billy Zane, who plays the dream doctor, he says it in the film, writing it down, writing all your dreams down over and over again, it actually, it tricks your brain into deeming dream memories as valuable, which typically it doesn't. It automatically dumps them in the short-term memory and they get lost. But if you continue to write down your dreams every day, your brain will start to think, okay, this stuff is valuable, and then commit it to the long-term memory more, and you'll start to remember your dreams more clearly. And through doing that, you'll actually start to have more lucid dreams. To go a step further and get really extreme, which is something, just caveat for anyone listening, watching, I don't recommend this necessarily, but you can actually go a step further by alarming yourself out of REM cycles 3-4 times a night, rather than just waking up in the morning. What do I remember in my dream? Writing it down. You wake yourself up 3-4 times a night and do it. And that's a little bit much, but it's a kind of way of fast tracking the process, because you typically go into a REM cycle of where you dream every kind of 90 minutes or so every hour and a half through, or maybe even hour 45, 2 hours, however you want to set it. You set an alarm to wake yourself up, and then have a pen and pad, or I guess you could even write on your phone. But there is something good about writing as well. However you want to do it, to record, write down your dreams, journal them multiple times a night, and that's like I say, another or a more extreme or intense way to expedite practicing with dream and remembering your dreams.
Do you think that because you don't have physical eyesight, that your imagination and your dreams have become more real and more lucid to you?
100%. Yeah, I've noticed the vividness of my imagination become amplified since I suffered my sight loss, and it's been a gift in many ways. And I've noticed it not just in nocturnal dreams, but even just daydreaming and meditation, and how I'm able to tap into my mind's eye in a new way that is pretty awesome. Feels like a superpower, to be honest.
I think you do have a superpower. How do you practice meditation? What is your technique?
So I do a lot of TM, transcendental meditation, which I really enjoy. And I have, on occasion dabbled in some guided meditations as well, but I prefer TM, because from my experience, meditating unguided, when you just have pure consciousness to tap into without any kind of distractions or a voice guiding you or anything else, you can find you can go somewhere really deep, really deep, and in a short space of time too. And it's funny though, because when we talk about meditation, we do always kind of think about these common or more, I suppose, commercially practiced forms of meditation. But I think even just being in the shower is a form of meditation. Even just listening to a piece of music in the car drive, like you can be meditating whilst you're driving. You can be meditating in so many different places and ways, and it's pretty awesome, So for me, I think whether I'm doing breath work or Wim Hof or something else, that's another way of meditating. Like I say, if I'm just sitting in silence for 20 minutes, doing TM, transcendental meditation, or like I say, I'm taking a shower or even just going for a walk. There's so many ways to get yourself in that kind of a brain state, I think it's always good to explore, new ways to get there.
Beautiful. So your life has had, a lot of twists and turns, highs and lows. You've been on major hit shows, and you've also obviously had this differently abled turn of fate. So how did you pull yourself through the darkest, most discouraging moments of your career? Because Hollywood can be a very shallow, superficial business.
Yeah, sure is. Yeah.
It very well.
I mean, it kind of goes back to a lot of the stuff we were talking about before, right? Being able to instill a resilience inside yourself and not give up or give in to someone else's expectations or demands of who they want you to be. And that's a big thing in Hollywood, everybody is sort of encouraged to think and act a certain way. And even, commercially, there are trends you're supposed to follow, as an artist to set yourself up for success and have a better shot, being able to do what you want to do. And so it's interesting. It's a balance, and this is why it's probably a fitting conversation for this podcast, because like anything in life, right, you need to find the balance. But in the business and in Hollywood, I think, there's a real art. There's an art to finding the balance in being authentic, and maintaining your integrity as an artist and what you want to create, but at the same time, not hating the players around you, and don't hate the game either. Love the game, enjoy it, play it. You know what I mean? Find ways to thrive within it, and have the best of both worlds, because it is possible. And maybe sometimes there are, I wouldn't say sacrifices, but I'd say concessions that you have to make, when it comes to picking and choosing how you move and how you navigate, career choices. So yeah, I just really trust my gut and my intuition, to put it simply. I think, honestly, I just really trust my instincts and my higher self. I refer to my intuition as leading me, guiding me. Who knows, which is the right path to take. And I think we all have that voice inside of ourselves, and we all just need to trust it and listen to it as much as we can.
What is your definition of resilience?
Well, I would say not taking no for an answer is my definition of resilience in many ways. But at the same time, when I think about the word no, or what that means when you're told no, I think especially in the entertainment industry, it just means not today. And that's probably applicable to other industries and other people in walks of life that are told no as well. And just reminding yourself to be resilient and to have the resolve to say, okay, this is today, tomorrow's a new day. And there are going to be new opportunities, new windows of opportunities that open up to me, and manifesting that.
Can you give us an example of a project or an acting role where you were told no very many times and you kept persisting and you got something great?
I can think of so many. I just don't know which one.
Give us your favorite one.
Well, I can quickly speak on two. You know, obviously,
okay, let's talk.
One being the, you know, Lucid, making my first feature film. That was you know, a really tough thing to do, to get your first. And anybody who's ever made a movie before, a feature film, knows how difficult it can be. And so having been told no by countless production companies, people, producers, investors, to the point where even me, somebody who, like I said before, I am psychotically positive about everything, and I have to be. Even I was having moments going, is this going to happen? Am I going to get this movie made? Can I do it? Because it was going on for, it took years to get the movie made. And so the thing is, I just kept meditating and seeing the film in my head finished, and then picturing the premiere and that feeling of showing it to an audience and experiencing it, the finished film in a room full of people, and then just realizing that wasn't my imagination, that wasn't a dream, that was the future, that was a potential future timeline, and I could be in that timeline, I could be in that future. I just need to align with it and just live in that frequency and keep in it. Because every time I was dealing with somebody trying to bring my frequency down and telling me, no, I was, you know, letting it knock. Well, it was knocking me naturally, but then, that was I think that was the biggest part in kind of defining or building my character to be resilient, was getting that first movie made. But another, you know, example of just being told no in a moment and then kind of, I don't know, sidestepping and beelining for another way in, because as Julia Vavara, my other half, life partner, business partner, always says, if the door's closed, go in through the window. And it's so true. I love that, because I remember having my first meeting with Apple, and it was a general meeting with me as a director, a director, to talk about you know, their upcoming slate of shows and films at Apple TV. And this was just before Apple TV was launching. This was like 2019. And, you know, the show C with Jason Momoa had wrapped its first season. Well, it was in the can. It was being finished in post-production. It was, you know, set to come out and be one of the flagship kind of shows of Apple TV when it was due to launch, you know, a few months from when I was having this meeting. And in the meeting, you know, I spoke about ideas I had of what I, you know, could maybe bring to the show as a director, some ways that I could kind of translate the blind experience in terms of, like, you know, framing a point of view with the camera and stuff, doing things that, and they, you know, they really like the ideas, and they put me in touch with the showrunner, Jonathan Tropper, who showrun season 1 and 2 of the show. But anyway, by the time I got speaking to Jonathan, he said that he had seen Lucid, he had seen my movie and enjoyed it and would love to work with me, but he already had his directors lined up and attached for the next season, for season 2 of C. And so it was a really nice way of being told no, because it was like, I love your work, I want to work with you, but on this occasion, it's just not going to fly, because I don't know, too late to the party, I guess, you know?
Yeah.
And instead of dealing with that no, or being told no by just saying, well, thanks anyway, and then kind of moving on, I kind of kept pushing. And I was like, well, you know, I understand, you know, you got your directors, you know, and everything, but, you know, I'd really love to be a part of this show. I had such a great meeting with the rest of the team at Apple, and he was like, I know, yeah, you know, but maybe in the future, blah, 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 we'll see. No pun intended. And then I asked him, I said, well, where are you at now? You know, what stage are you? Are you in prep already? And he's like, yeah, we're location scouting, we're casting. I said, oh, you're casting? You know, I'm an actor too, by the way. He goes, no, I didn't know. He goes, I did not know that. No, I said, that's how I started out. I was an actor, you know, before I started making films behind the camera. And, you know, I'm still doing acting, you know, for the right opportunity. You know, I'm offering my services in front of camera. And he said, well, we can put you in the mix for an audition, or if you want to send in a tape, I can talk to our casting director. I said, sure. And so I ended up sending in a tape, having a recall, or doing another audition, and then getting a part and getting hired as an actor on the show.
And what show was that?
And that was C on Apple TV with Jason Momoa. And I was in season 2. I got to be in 3 episodes of the show. I got to do a lot of really cool fight stunt work as well. You know, riding horses, sword fighting, and amazing stuff. And that was an incredible experience, because I got to destigmatize what it meant to be a blind actor, and the expectations of others. I had a double standing by to do all of the stunt work, but I insisted that I had to do it myself. So you see me on the screen, you know, riding the horses, fighting with the swords, and my character kidnaps Jason.
Did all that blind? You rode a horse and did a sword fight blind?
Yeah. And even the choreographers were some of the best in the business. They were like, Adam, we you know, they told us that you've got an eye condition, because I was one of the only, I mean, most of the cast can see and are fully sighted playing blind. I'm actually, you know, legally blind playing blind, but even so, like, the choreographers who are aware of my condition, they didn't believe me. Like, a lot of people don't believe me when they meet me.
How did you not fall off the horse?
Well, I mean, like, Rebecca, I can't see you on the screen. Obviously, I'm just looking.
Right.
People can see me. I can't see what's on the screen. How I direct movies is on a giant, like, 70-inch screen with my face right in there. So the partial peripheral sight I can use to kind of frame a shot. But unless I'm right up close to a giant image, I can't. But when I'm faking eyeline, forget a screen. Even in normal life, I'm talking to somebody, I can fake an eyeline of where I know their face is right here. They're coming from.
The horse, if you can't see where the horse is riding, how do you stay on a horse, and how do you ride a horse without seeing?
Well, that's what I've realized. You know, memory is such a. I mean, my memory, as well as, like, you know, I mentioned the gift of my imagination being amplified through my sight loss. A few other superpowers that have been elevated through me losing my eyesight. Memory. I have superhuman memory now, because it's a muscle. You know, there's no such thing. There's no such thing as a bad memory, only an untrained memory. So we all have the capacity to improve memory. And so everything is a memory exercise every day. Where did I leave my cup of tea? Okay, I can't read a map. Where are my directions? I have to remember where I'm going, blah, blah, you know. But even, like, when it comes to telepathy, precognition, all these other kind of.
So you rode horses before growing up as a kid?
No, never ridden a horse before in my life. So when I learned how to ride the horse for the show, I had to memorize the blocking, as we call it, of where I'm supposed to be. And even, you know, where I ride the horse, where I get off, where I jump off, where I do, and even the stunt work, the fight choreography. It's like for anyone else, really. It's just learning the beats and memorizing. Okay, he throws that punch, I move here, that kick, and you know, when you have it all practiced, and then you can run it in real speed, real time, and have it play out. It's really exciting, and it's even more exciting when people hear about me doing that stuff, and then it kind of flips the paradigm of disability, or changes their perception of blindness when they think, oh, so that's possible. You know, and it's really cool for me to be able to do that stuff, you know. So I had a great experience on that show, but like I said, you know, it all came from being told no, and then not taking no for an answer, basically, and
you weren't the
squeezing myself into the show as an actor.
I love it. Well, let's end with a couple rapid fire questions. What is a daily non-negotiable for your health?
Meditation, which I've spoken about before, and that's pretty easy to keep up with, because, like I say, if it's me actually you know, taking 11 minutes for a Wim Hof breathing exercise or 20 minutes for a transcendental meditation. Or even if I neglect both of those, then it's just an extra moment in the shower to just, you know, wash off the negativity that I might have felt from wherever that day, and then just, you know, reinstill some positivity.
A belief that you had to unlearn to become successful.
A belief that I had to unlearn to become successful. Yeah, again, something that I think we spoke about or we've already touched on, which is not no. Okay, we didn't actually talk about this, but the answer to that question would be learning to walk before you can run.
Mm-hmm.
You heard that one? I think a lot of people have heard of that, right?
Yeah, but
I don't like that expression, and it's a belief that a lot of people have. I unlearned that very quickly early on because it just didn't resonate with me. I am of a different mindset, which is build the plane as you're flying it.
yeah.
And it's worked out fine for me. In fact, it's worked out really well. And I encourage everybody to adopt that mindset or that mantra or that, you know, to learn how to build the plane as you're flying it. And if anyone tells you, like for me, when I made my first short film and I wanted to make a feature film, they were like, oh, you should make a few more. I remember so many producers kept saying, make a few more shorts first, you know, learn how to walk before you can run. And I was like, okay, listen. At first I was trying to listen to them because they were older, more experienced. And I thought, well, they must know what they're talking about. But no. I think, yeah, that's something that a lot of people should unlearn, is being told walk before you can run. If you feel like you're ready to run. You know what I mean? Go. Don't do things in the order that other people tell you that you have to do them. You know, don't limit your ambition, and don't limit what you believe is possible for yourself.
And you'll learn more running than walking, because
exactly, that's the biggest thing. Taking yourself outside your comfort zone is where we evolve the most, right? When we're in discomfort, to learn on the exactly.
The sound that instantly grounds you is
nature.
Beautiful. Amazing. Well, this has been such a great conversation, Adam Morse. Tell us about your upcoming project and where can people find you online?
Thank you, Rebecca. Really enjoyed the conversation. People can find me on Instagram at the Morse Force. And we are almost finished. Well, we're in the process of filming a documentary. I say we, Julia, who I've mentioned a couple of times on the podcast, my other half, who's a very talented filmmaker and director in her own right. She's making a documentary about my story, and it's called Blind Ambition. And it's, documenting my, sight loss and then rise into becoming a filmmaker and everything that I've done in recent years. And also, I would love people to look at the work that we're doing with the Crystal Vision Foundation, which is my nonprofit that helps blind artists who want to get into film and TV and kind of follow in my footsteps and do what I'm doing. And although, I am, celebrated a lot for being the blind director, and I've kind of cornered the market, I suppose, according to the internet, with, the stuff that I've done, being the first blind filmmaker to direct a Super Bowl commercial, or, make feature film with Hollywood actors, blah, blah, blah. There is the potential for millions of blind people around the world who have talent, that have vision, to do the same as me. And so we want to nurture them. We want to give them training. We want to give them mentorship, help them on their journeys, and prove that this stigma that's associated with blindness and disability is outdated and does not apply. So if anyone wants to look up the Crystal Vision Foundation, or even reach out to me directly, or knows anybody from the blind community or on the blind spectrum that might be interested in getting into the arts, film and TV, happy to help.
Amazing. Well, thank you again, Adam Morse, and thank you, listeners, for being a part of this community.
Yes.
Knowing that you can achieve success in life through alignment, not the hustle and grind. There are 7 pillars of abundance, and you can live your balanced, beautiful, and abundant life. Thank you so much for sharing this podcast with a friend. I know they will be very inspired and grateful to hear Adam's message. And until we meet again, keep your vibe high and magnetize. Bye, everyone.
Love it.
Set the pace, watch me steal the show. Higher ground, yeah, I'm rising fast. This is my moment, it's built to last.
So excited to share a review from Melissa Myers, the Glow Girl. She says, inspiring podcast. Rebecca has a gift for creating meaningful, empowering conversations that leave you feeling inspired and uplifted. Balanced, beautiful, abundant is like sitting down with a wise, soulful friend who truly wants you to thrive in every area of your life. I love how she blends practical advice with spiritual insights. I'm so grateful I found it. Well, Melissa, we're so grateful that you found us, and we can't wait to find out how you are glowing and growing by using this podcast as a tool. And everybody who's listening and sharing, thank you so much for your support. And it's such a joy to be on this journey with you.